Hello and welcome. Today we are playing Sunrise on the Moon from Brii-Nanas. The game is on itch.io, so if you want it yourself, you know where to head out. It's a name your own prize game, by the way. And that's it. Alright, let's check what this is about. It's among those games from itch that I kind of plan to play and finish. And I think it's a short one. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. It was still dark, but the sun had finally started to peek over the horizon. It wasn't exactly morning, but then it was virtually day or night, either in the Lunar Colonies. That's like a fast skip again. Oh. Maria had just gotten attached to those concepts during her time on Earth. There were still a few hours left of the designated nighttime hours, so the streets remained illuminated only by abrasive, occasionally flashing neon lights. Actually, now we are at it, and we are supposedly in a space colony. Would you do it yourself? Would you, like, leave Earth behind and go to, like, a space colony? I don't think I would. Unless the person I would care about would go, then I'm packed right now. Instantly. Anyway, the thicket of short, densely packed buildings and signage always gave the commercial district a claustrophobic, overstimulating atmosphere. The worst offender by far was that massive jumbotron in the central plaza. The light from the screen was oppressive, drowning out all life around it and turning the people walking through the hub into featureless silhouettes. Okay, nice. Day in and day out. I mean, this is a nice actually description. If you don't want to like go super specific in the artworks or backgrounds about characters. There is that thing that makes basically people not visible too well. Well played, Dev. Well played. Day in and day out, it showed nothing but emergency news bulletins and advertisements from the companies that already had a vice grip on its loyal consumers. It had become a world where lives were reduced to commodities. The old woman sighed, wondering when she had gotten so cynical and jaded. When she was young, the prospects of the future seemed so inviting. Yeah. I guess because we are thinking as kids in terms of, oh, in the movie it's so cool, I bet it will be like that when I grow up. It's not. Flying cars, nah. Virtual and augmented reality innovations, Space travel, androids, advanced AI, easier to open jars. Is it weird that I never had a problem opening a jar? Quite literally. Sure, sometimes it's tougher, but I would still open it. Some of those dreams had come to pass, but not all in the way her idealistic younger self would have hoped. I wonder what I exactly hoped for as a kid. I mean, flying cars would be cool, but at the same time, if you think about it, there are so many shitty drivers on land. I think it would be even worse with flying cars. Yeah, it definitely would be worse. You know, people can't handle like lines being left and right? Imagine if you had lines also up and down. Dude, it would break some people's minds. Yeah. Anyway. She looked to the glowing white orb through one of the windows at the edge of the ever-spinning station and smiled tiredly. Sadly, it would soon be out of sight from this spot. Which also kind of reminded me of my yesterday's drive, because in the evening I went on a drive a little bit. And to deal with some stuff in the city. 6 PM, already dark as heck. So many people have incorrectly set the lights in their cars. It's ridiculous. Also, like the newer cars, they seem like have some really shitty lights as well. They are only blinding. It's so annoying. Seriously, I think I'll start driving in glasses. So, you know, I don't get blinded by the damn lights of the cars. By the way, I'm acting right now like that woman that said she would not become this and that. Anywho, she looked to the glowing white orb through one of the windows at the edge of the ever-spinning station and smiled tiredly. Sadly, it would soon be out of sight from this spot.
It's been nearly a month, my friend. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it to the viewing platform in time to greet you properly.
She shuffled her way over to the tram station, pausing briefly when she noticed someone already there. There were 2 benches. Wait, are we Maria? Whoops. There were 2 benches. The right side of the further one was currently occupied by a young woman. Well, if we are Maria, then I guess, she has my voice now. It's too late. We cannot pretend. Or more like, we cannot create a fresh voice for her. It's been decided already. There were 2 benches. The right side of the further one was currently occupied by a young woman. 2 benches, okay. No compelled in hand. I assume this is a phone, basically. No AR visor obscuring her vision. So, like, is it like VR? Anyway, an undistracted youth. Blasphemy. I really am a bitter old hack if that's the first thing I notice. Yeah. Maria murmured under her breath with an insincere chuckle. She had helped create such technologies after all. If only it wasn't squandered on social media fads and pleas for attention. And she certainly didn't believe, or at least want to admit to, the old part being true. She talked about it and would certainly exploit it when it was to her benefit, but hearing someone younger impose her age on her lit and indignant and obstinate fire in her soul. Dismissing such idle thoughts, she glanced back over the stranger, her curiosity piqued. The one seemed to be smiling wistfully and looking at the sunrise as well. A fellow solar appreciator. Perhaps? Maria's gaze fell to the 2 benches. A truly arduous choice lay ahead of her. I'd say... You know what? She's an old hack, that character we are playing as. I would not be surprised if she went with the first option. Not gonna lie. I personally would be like, this one. But, yeah. Well, hello there! Would it be alright if I took a seat there? The woman cocked her head a bit and looked at her newfound companion. She seemed to take a moment to fully parse the question before smiling warmly and nodding.
Oh, of course, please take a seat.
Maria held her hand to her mouth and chortled softly before taking her spot on the bench.
Oh my, what a polite young lady you are. Thank you very much, ma'am.
She spoke in a bright but direct voice. A small smile was ever present on her face, even as she turned back to gaze at seemingly nothing in particular. Subtly observe the stranger. Attempt conversation with the stranger. Wait patiently and quietly for the tram to arrive.
We might as well,
Come on, I mean, we are an old hog. She would be like rambling like crazy. It wasn't like Maria to strike up a conversation on her own. She usually kept to herself. Well, I didn't know that. But perhaps she had grown lonely after all these years away from friends and family. Or perhaps she was simply in the mood for a casual conversation. Gathering as much willpower as she could muster, she finally spoke again.
I'm sure you have no interest in an old lady's prattling, but if you don't mind, I'd like to chat.
Huh? The woman turned her head to Maria and looked at her with deep, almost unfathomable eyes. Well, I know in real life I would not be acting like that lady of ours. Definitely. I mean, even when I'm walking the dog, I get annoyed when someone approaches. With their own dog, basically. Yeah, it's annoying. I'm even more annoyed when I see a dog without a leash running. Dude, I'm gonna be a grumpy old bastard, that's for sure. Anyway. Did I read? Let's read it again, I'm not sure. The woman turned her head to Maria and looked at her with deep, almost unfathomable eyes. For a moment, Maria thought she was about to be told off. She bit down her tongue slightly, as if to scold herself for her impulsiveness. Suddenly, the young woman's face split into a warm smile.
Of course, I'd love a friendly chat.
Maria felt herself exhale a breath. She didn't know she was holding. Had it really been so long since she had socialized with strangers that even the process of striking up a conversation was this agonizing? Well, first thing was first. They need to get those pesky introductions out of the way. That much she could manage. Technically, you don't need that?
My name is Maria. May I ask yours? Oh, you can call me Aeda. My family does, after all.
She giggled a bit. Her voice clear and charming like a bell. What a cute, if not slightly odd girl. And someone Maria felt an immediate kinship with as well. Maria hadn't encountered someone like Aeda for quite some time and felt compelled to get to know her in spite of herself. Top right corner, is that a clock? Does it show the time that we are, you know, in transit?
Aeda, what a lovely name. Something about it feels so familiar.
She quickly cleared her throat, knowing how strange a statement that was in retrospect. It's, nice to meet you, Aeda.
Oh, it's nice to meet you as well, ma'am.
Aeda seemed like she was practically glowing, exuding comforting energy when she spoke. Oh, Maria is fine.
Mom sounds a bit stuffy. Oh, but mom is far more appropriate. I wouldn't want to be rude after all.
Maria never liked being referred to in such an impersonal way, but decided not to press the issue for now. For now. Alright, suit yourself. Is all alright with you, or should I be calling you something more appropriate? Well, that sounded like a rude question. She said it with a cheeky tone, but I didn't seem to pick up on it and just shook her head politely.
Oh, Aeda is fine with me.
Maria chuckled to herself. Finding a girl a bit dense, but also quite still quite charming. Dense? Check out some of the visual novel protagonists. You will find some density there. Maybe not the one we are also playing alongside right now, which means that actually we don't play it today, but maybe we'll play it tomorrow. This one is not dense, he's plain stupid and shitty. But why am I talking about this crappy game again? No, we are playing Sunrise on the Moon and this is enjoyable. At least so far. Hopefully it will be like that until the very end. Well, well then, Aeda, let's enjoy a nice conversation then, shall we?
And she's like, oh, what do you want to talk about?
Oh boy. Offer her some candy. Oh yeah, sure. Talk about sunrise, why is she here, life on Earth, lunar colonies, hobbies, work. Let's go with sunrise. Ah, isn't that just lovely? Maria gave a grand gesture towards the sun in all of its brilliance. For a few short minutes it would be viewable from this spot on the station. As they were constantly moving to create gravity in the colonies, soon it would be out of sight. For this reason, Maria was adamant about taking the tram to the viewing platform. She wished to watch the sunrise uninterrupted. Much better than go the artificial sun.
You don't like the artificial sun? I think it's nice and comforting.
But I was a bit surprised at this opinion and considered it for a moment. I suppose it's truly impressive that it exists in the first place. It's not particularly accurate though. Her pitch became higher and she began to speak faster as her pedantic nature revealed itself in full. The trajectory is completely off and a yellow sun in space with no atmosphere, ridiculous. Oh, and because the colony is essentially a giant centrifuge ring. Don't be that person, Maria, she heard a little voice in her head chide. She paused to gather herself before speaking again, forcing herself to keep a more even tone this time. I wouldn't see a problem if it was, like, basically a different color. Actually, it would be pretty cool. Make it as different as possible. I prefer the real thing because it's just such a natural marvel. And these moments feel like an event, something to look forward to. I nodded politely as Maria spoke before offering her own perspective.
Oh, I like the artificial sun because it brings people light when there were otherwise isn't any. The real sun isn't here for nearly 30 days at a time, so he must have created one of their own to brighten their lives themselves instead of waiting for it to come from somewhere else.
Maria quirked a brow, surprised, but admittedly found herself convinced by this perspective. She wasn't a technology denier, far from it, but perhaps she had been taking human ingenuity for granted lately. Okay. 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 Candy, why she's here, life on Earth. Wait, was there more options? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's still 7. Huh? Talk about life on the lunar colonies. Let's go with that, yeah. How do you like the life on the lunar colonies? Have you ever considered living elsewhere? Young people didn't tend to remain in the colonies for long. It was an amazing and impressive sight to tourists and newcomers, but it started to feel tiny and restricted to people that had known nothing else their whole lives. Despite that, Ada firmly shook her head.
Of course not. This is where my family lives. I would be unable to live without them.
Is that so?
Besides, I'm a bit of a homebody anyway. I don't leave home often.
Nah, it sounds like there's still a lot you haven't experienced here at the colony. Have you been to the viewing platform or the botanical gardens? Oh, what about the anti-grav stadium? Ever seen a game in person? Maria was decidedly not a homebody, and would drag her aging mouse of a body to whatever location piqued her interest. Nice. I wish I was more like that. Like, I'm like, yeah, I wanna go there. But it's such a pain. It would cost money. Yeah, you know, living just to kind of survive is like that, I guess. Something like that. She was also quite enthusiastic about being the more knowledgeable one regarding the landmarks and attractions for once.
I have not been to or done any of those things, no. They sound quite fun for.
Tsk, if you were my daughter, I'd drag you all across the entire station. She paused, realizing she was getting ahead of herself. Feelings of guilt also started to bubble up in her chest as she was reminded that she had already squandered such a relationship. Oh. Ida's voice brought her back from those thoughts, however.
Ah, that would be nice.
Maria wasn't sure how Ida was able to meet her gaze after such an awkward statement, but nothing about her demeanor seemed to change, and the conversation continued as if nothing had happened. It's 6 now. Let's go. Maybe I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Okay. Talk about life on Earth, why not? Have you ever been to Earth, Ida? Maria felt as though she probably already knew the answer, but wanted to introduce the topic for discussion regardless.
Oh, I haven't. I've never left the moon, but I've heard Earth is a lovely place with lots of wild plants and animals. It sounds very different than the orbital and lunar colonies.
Well, some parts are certainly lovely, and it is indeed quite different from the extraterrestrial colonies. The buildings there are much taller for one. Some unnecessarily tall. A lot of the natural environment has been ravaged by greedy corporations. Yeah. But the parts that do remain are unlike anything here. Maria couldn't tell if Ida's attentive gaze was out of politeness or genuine interest. Either way, she continued, wrapped up in the pride of her own extensive knowledge of the topic. I actually worked with a group of scientists who did field research, you know. Of course, I mainly handled the software and equipment, but it was still a very rewarding experience. I even met my late husband that way.
We were so young and bright-eyed at the time. We thought we could change the world.
The whole world seemed like quite a tall task these days, but I like to think even changing a silly life is still worth the effort. Yeah? Ida's eyes were still glued to Maria as she spoke, and she nodded enthusiastically at that conclusion.
Wow, elders truly are wise.
Not in Poland, though. Maria pursed her lips and bit her tongue. Hearing someone else call her an elder out loud made it feel a lot less humorous and far more real. There's 6 choices again. Space travel. Earth is very large and vast. Traveling between the lunar colonies is a half-hour ride on a tram at the most, but back in the day it used to take many hours to travel across the planet. And to the extraterrestrial colonies, it felt like ages. The initial launch and reaching orbit for the first time is exciting, but after that it's just floating in the vacuum of space for almost 2 days. I don't envy the flight attendants. On my trip, a lot of people became belligerent and anxious. They were probably unaccustomed to the lack of gravity and started to go a bit stir crazy. Personally, I don't mind it as much as the other people. Sorry, they didn't mind. It did wonders for my back to not have to put so much pressure on it.
Nice!
What I mean by that is, Sims, we are well developed as a character in chess department.
Is that why you came to the lunar colonies? I hear many elderly come here for anti-gravity therapy.
Maria felt as though something had come loose inside her. She wasn't sure if she wanted to laugh or crawl under a rock. Maybe the elderly do, but I'm here for other reasons. As she spoke, Maria began to feel as though her reasons were perhaps even more shameful than admitting her age. Huh? I suppose I'm just a coward who wants to run from my personal failures. Leave them on Earth and start anew here, even if it was a lie to help me move on. An awkward silence loomed over them for a moment, so Maria decided to quickly terminate discussion of this subject. It's 6 again. Ask why she is here. Let's go. What brings you all the way out here? Are you going to be to the viewing platform to watch the sunrise as well?
Oh, my family asked me to wait here. They said someone should be coming by soon to pick me up.
Her family left her alone out here. That seemed extremely negligent, but Ida didn't appear concerned in the slightest. Just take care of yourself, and be careful not to talk to any strangers. She realized the silliness of her own words right as they left her mouth. Ada just smiled and nodded politely, not indicating she caught on the goof.
Yes, of course. I'll be careful.
Maria wasn't sure if she was grateful that Ada hadn't called out her faux pas, or if she was more embarrassed she didn't have the opportunity to feebly argue her case. Still, that's rather irresponsible of them, don't you think?
Oh, I wouldn't say so. I'm pretty independent after all. I don't need to chop her wrong at all the times.
Maria chuckled, shaking her head. You sound like my daughter. She was always running off on her own. Maybe if Maria had kept a closer eye on the girl, things would have ended up differently. But she was far too busy with work to hover over a belligerent child. At least that's what she tried to convince herself. Just take care not to worry your family, alright? Even if they didn't show it, they do worry.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
Less choices. Less choices. Candy. No. Let's go hobbies. Why not? What sort of things do you like to do, Ada? Ada responded quickly with a cheaper tone.
I like to cook and clean for my family. I can even fix things around the house pretty competently.
Maria groaned a bit and shook her head in disbelief. Those aren't hobbies, those are chores. Surely there is something you enjoy doing for the sake of it. Ada took a moment to ponder the question, seemingly trying to find an answer that would satisfy Maria.
I like watching things.
Watching things?
Yeah, like, PolishLynx videos.
Anyway, Maria gave her an inquisitive look, not immediately dismissing the response despite how strange it seemed.
Yes. Like right now, I like watching the people walk through the city and watch the sun through the station windows. I'm sure it sounds simple to you, but it's the truth.
It wasn't the sort of answer Maria was expecting, but it sounded like Ida was a simple woman of simple pleasures. Maria couldn't fault her for that.
What about you? You sound like you have much more exciting hobbies, Mom.
Well, I wouldn't claim my hobbies are more exciting, but I do like to tinker with things. Software, devices, that sort of thing. I also enjoy new and enriching experiences. It's why I find myself unable to stay in the same place for very long. I've been all over the earth and now my travels have brought me here.
Oh, you must lead such an interesting, adventurous life.
Maria puffed out her chest a bit. Being so worldly and well-traveled was admittedly a point of pride for her. There was less choices a second ago, game. Candy, family, work, technology, love life. Family, let's go, whatever. They had been chatting for long enough that Maria felt emboldened to get a bit more personal. So, your family, tell me more about them. She had to tread carefully around a topic like this, but Maria was a bit suspicious and couldn't help but press the issue.
Oh, they are wonderful. 2 loving parents and little rambunctious Charles. I also have a younger sister on the way.
Maria scanned Ida's face for any tales that might indicate her family was mistreating her in some way. That ever-present smile was impenetrable, however.
What about your own?
Not only was she unable to glean any pertinent information, but now the question had been turned back around on her. She sighed in defeat. It's funny, but our character really acts like an old lady. You know, trying to do tricks like that as well. I think it's especially with neighbors and so on. They'll try to get some details they could use against you. At least that's how it feels in Poland. Not all of them, but the ones that are like, I would say, overly social, yeah, they'll try to get information out of you like crazy and then use it in some way. Then again, it's kind of funny. Anyway, my family. But it's complicated, I suppose. Or at least it was. Right now I suppose I could say I don't have any. My husband is gone and my daughter has been estranged from my life for years now. I don't think I was a bad mother, but sometimes ideological rifts can be repaired. She decided her own path, and that was one I couldn't be part of. Which is fair enough. Why was she so freely admitting such a thing to someone who was essentially a stranger? Perhaps it was because Ida was a stranger that felt so cathartic speaking with her.
Families separate sometimes, don't they? Perhaps one day my own family will no longer need me. If so, I hope my new sister will be able to care for them even better than I.
Maria felt a chill run down her spine. She said that so matter-of-factly, with that same smile no less. I want to know more now. Ask about sister. When is your sister due, if you don't mind me asking? Something about how she spoke about her sister. Her family felt off. Maria had her suspicions and couldn't help but pray even further. She never referred to the other family members as her mother and father, or her brother, so this sister of hers was a strange exception.
Oh, you can actually see her right now.
She pointed eagerly to the jumbotron in the middle of the plaza. What? Maria scrambled to adjust her ocular enhancements, gently rotating her index fingers around the outer corners of her eyes. Once again, she regretted her decision to stubbornly stick with the cheaper manual option. Afraid I missed her, but I always do enjoy these old Lunar Colonies commercials. She chuckled, but the interaction alone essentially confirmed what she had suspected. She now remembered why Ida's name seemed so familiar. The poor thing. The situation wasn't boding well for her. And now Maria felt a bit foolish for getting so invested in the girl. The vappiness was not just an act, after all. New and improved. Oh, got you. Even more lifelike than before. Brought to you by your friends at Tectonic. A light will seem to flicker on in Maria's mind. Of course. She preferred to block ads from the TV and her AR lenses, but when she was out and about, she had no choice but to catch them on the Jumbotron. Aside from the Lunar Colonies commercials, she usually mentally tuned them out, but one was still starting to emerge from the recesses of her mind. She looked over to Ida, a new question starting to nag at her. She was well aware of what the girl really was. It was what emboldened her to speak to Ida in the first place, but she overall thought little of it. Perhaps she could confirm something before leaving. Maybe she had enough time until the tram arrived to bring it up. Well? I think we don't have time, that's the problem. Maria checked the time on her compal. Well, my ride should be here in a minute now. Just as she spoke, the tram appeared, zipping down the street until it came to a rather sudden halt in front of them. The automatic door opened, beckoning Maria to enter. Take care, Ada, and have a lovely lunar day. Ada smiled sweetly and nodded, politely waving Maria off.
I will, and I hope you enjoy the sunrise. I'm sure it's a lovely sight.
The two exchanged their brief goodbyes as Maria was well aware that the tram was a fickle, impatient beast. It was already starting to blare its alert loudly to remind her to board. I hear you, I'm coming. She grumbled a bit as she dragged herself on the tram and took the seat furthest to the back. That's where the cool kids sit. At least back in the day it was like that. As the tram started to move back in the opposite direction, she glanced back one last time at Ada and waved at her from behind the window. Such a nice girl. I hope she's being well taken care of. There was a strange feeling in the pit of her chest, something she couldn't quite figure out. Perhaps she should have tried to learn more about that young woman. Then again, she had always been a rather nosy person, and someone like that was already naturally intriguing to her. I really need to learn to mind my own business. Maria chuckled to herself as the tram reached the incline to the viewing platform. Almost there, old friend. Let's hope the sunrise is another good one. Ending D. Invariable. D. Made with Ren'Py. Kevin McLeod, let's go. We know this guy. Anyone making videos should know this guy. Or streaming. Thank you for playing. Sure thing. Interesting story. Okay. Let's see. Sunrise on the moon. Sunrise is okay. Friendly conversation. Maria, Eda. Content warning. Mild swearing. Was there any swearing in the game? I think there wasn't. I don't mind. Spoiler version, whatever. How many endings are there? What the heck? Ending D has 2 variations. There's ending C, ending B, and ending A. Wait, how did I get ending D? It seems like ending D is like super short version. I'm not gonna tell you what exactly, but let's see, not many choices. Okay, so to go here, you would need to do that. Okay. Oh, okay, so I basically went with some questions that kind of didn't matter. And because of that, we couldn't continue. Gotcha. You know what? Let's leave it at that, I think. I mean, let's just say that I would say this was how it would be in a conversation with someone you don't know, between an old hawk like me there and a young lady. It's not like you would be like, hey, can I have your number? That way we could talk more detail. Whoa, sorry. More details and so on. Yeah. Again, the game is on itch.io. You can find it from the description, to be fair. I'll add it there as per basically almost always, unless YouTube doesn't like the link, but this one will be safe for sure. And you can check out the other endings yourself. Why the heck not? I think that what we achieved here is what you would achieve normally in a conversation, so yeah. The other option would be if we didn't approach her at all, you know, take the other bench, don't talk at all, and so on. Yeah. Anywho. Sunrise on the moon. The only thing missing is the fact that we didn't see the sunrise when we got into the place. Yeah, that's the only thing missing. Other than that, super enjoyable, nice talk, casual talk really, between 2 people. Well, maybe more like a person and an android, I think. It seems like that. Android with a personality? Well, whatever. Let's say between an old hawk and a girl. Yeah. For it seems like, yeah. She was an android or that sort of thing. Anywho, sunrise on the moon. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And note guys as well. If you did, the usual, like the video, that'd be much appreciated. Again, the question I asked in the almost very beginning: would you yourself go living, basically, well, somewhere in space, I guess? Be it moon, repeat, I don't know, other planet. I'll gladly find out what's your opinion on doing that. I don't know if I would be able. I mean, like at the moment, I don't think I would go. Again, I would probably only be able to go if the person I would care about would be like,
I'm going out to live on the moon.
I'm already packed. Let's go. That's how it would be. Otherwise, I don't see myself doing that, to be honest. Yeah. Anywho, let's end it for today. Also, if you are not subscribed yet, consider doing that. That would be very much appreciated. Recently we got to 2000. Now it's time to go further and beyond that. So let's aim for 2.5. Yeah. Yeah. Also in the description, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. If you are into that stuff, I'm there. You can follow me if you want. It's free for, so you know. Okay, let's cut it. Hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, and hopefully I'll see you in the next game as well. Bye bye.